Alright, what's going on, guys? I have something really important I want to talk to you guys about before we get started on today's slate breakdown. As you can see on the screen, I'm going to be selling lineups for the rest of the NBA regular season. The lineup I give you guys is going to be one optimal lineup that you can use in your cash games and tournaments. The lineup that I give you will be made on Yahoo, but if you have to make changes, we can talk about them on Twitter through DMs. So for example, if you play on DraftKings and you plug in the lineup that I give you and it's over the cap, then we can discuss what changes need to be made. I'm still going to be making videos every day doing full slate breakdowns, and instead of giving out a lineup at the end, I'm going to start doing a starting five, which is pretty much a combination of my favorite value plays and studs. I'm not going to give you guys a lineup because it's not fair for the people that want to pay for the full lineup. So I'm only going to be giving a starting five at the end, and if you want my full updated lineup before lock, then you can pay. The prices are going to be $20 a week, $60 for the month of March, and $90 for the rest of the season. I think these prices are very reasonable, and my lineups do cash very consistently. I will be posting on Twitter how my lineups do. My Twitter is at the DFS_GOAT. So yeah, if you have any questions, please contact me on Twitter, guys. I'd be happy to answer them. But let's just go ahead and get started with this slate breakdown for today. Alright, starting off at point guard, your most expensive point guard on this slate is Russell Westbrook. He gets a terrible, slow-paced matchup against Utah. They're one of the best defensive teams, and they play at a really slow pace. I'm not going to be on Westbrook today, especially not at $63. So I definitely think this is a slate where you're going to fade Westbrook. He has to get you at least 65 to 70 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, and I don't think he can do that against Utah. John Wall at home against the Warriors. I really like that matchup for Wall. He's a little expensive at $51, but this is a terrific up-and-pace matchup against the Warriors. The Wizards have actually been playing very well this year, so this game should stay close. So I really like him. I think he's one of the top studs on this slate. Steph Curry in that same game against Washington. Don't think I'm going to go there, especially not at $50. I'll just try and find the extra dollar to get to Wall. I think Wall's a better play than Curry. Damian Lillard against Detroit. Don't really like that matchup. I think if you're looking to pay up at point guard, you're definitely going to take Wall today. So I don't think I'm going to be on Lillard. Eric Bledsoe against the Grizzlies. Don't like that matchup either. The Grizzlies are one of the best defensive teams, and they play at a slow pace. So I'm not going to be on Bledsoe today. Kemba against the Lakers. I really like that matchup for Kemba. He is definitely in play at only $37. Kemba is way underpriced for this matchup. The Lakers are one of the worst defensive teams, and they play at one of the fastest pace in the league. So if you don't want to pay at the top for point guard, I really like Kemba. Him and John Wall are definitely the top 2 point guards on this slate, in my opinion. Mike Conley against the Suns. I also like that matchup as well. Conley's pretty cheap at only $33. The Suns are terrible defensively, and they play at a really fast pace. So I really like Conley as well. At the mid-range, you got D'Angelo Russell against Charlotte. I don't really like that matchup. Kemba's a pretty good defender, but Russell is really cheap at only $24. He shouldn't have a problem paying up off that price tag. So if you want to attack the mid-range, I like Russell. He's in play just based on his price. He shouldn't have a problem paying that off. Another guy who seems underpriced in my opinion is George Hill against OKC. Russell Westbrook's not a really good defender. He doesn't play much defense. And this is going to be a good up-and-pace matchup for the Jazz. So I like George Hill at the mid-range as well. He's way underpriced for this matchup. He shouldn't have a problem getting you at least 25 to 30 fantasy points, which is good for that price tag. So if you want to attack the mid-range, I like George Hill. Amir Nelson against Chicago. Don't think I'm going to go there. If you want to attack the mid-range, I would just target Hill or Russell. On the cheaper end, I really like Reggie Jackson against Portland. Portland is one of the worst teams defensively against the point guard. Damian Lillard's a really bad defender. Jackson has been struggling lately, but he did pick it up in his last game against Boston, scoring 31 fantasy points and played 33 minutes. Jackson is cheap at only $18. He only has to get you 25 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, and I definitely think he can do that in this matchup. So I really like Jackson at the cheaper end. He just seems way too underpriced. I don't know if I would use Jackson in cash games because he has been really inconsistent this year, but for tournaments, he has a really good upside in this matchup. He could go off for 40 plus. And one guy at the minimum price I like is Jordan Clarkson. Clarkson has seen his role increase ever since Lou Williams got traded to the Rockets. He's been pretty consistent lately as well, and he's played pretty consistent minutes. At the minimum price, I think Clarkson's a pretty good value play on this slate. He shouldn't have a problem getting you at least 20 fantasy points, which is good for that price tag. That's pretty much it for point guard. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard. Alright, your top shooting guard on this slate is CJ McCollum. He gets a bad matchup against Detroit. KCP is one of the best defenders in the league, so I'm not going to be on McCollum today. This is a really bad matchup against Detroit. They're great defensively against the shooting guard. Bradley Beal against the Warriors. I really like that matchup for Beal. Thompson is a pretty solid defender, but this is a good up-and-pace matchup for the Wizards. Beal should thrive in this up and pace matchup. He's going to have to score the ball a lot more to be able to keep up with the Warriors. And the Wizards are going to need him to score. So I like Beal if you're wanting to pay up at shooting guard. He's the top shooting guard on this slate in my opinion. Also like D-Wade against the Nuggets. The Nuggets are terrible defensively and they play at a pretty fast pace. If you're wanting to pay up at shooting guard, I would probably just take Bradley Beal over Wade. But D-Wade is definitely in play. This is a terrific matchup against the Nuggets. Also at that same price tag, you got Nick Batum against the Lakers. This is a terrific matchup as well for Batum. The Lakers are terrible defensively. Batum has been very consistent as of late, so he is definitely in play at only $31. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that price tag in this good matchup. So I like Batum as well. He is in play. Klay Thompson against the Wizards. Don't think I'm going to go there. This is a good matchup. But if I was paying up at shooting guard, I would just take Batum, Wade, or Beal. Devin Booker against the Grizzlies. Definitely not going to go there. The Grizzlies are great defensively, so I'm not going to be on Booker today. Will Barton against Chicago. I'm also not going to be on that either. Barton is way overpriced at $26. He's really took a step down ever since all the Nuggets guys came back, so I'm not going to be on Barton. He's way overpriced. Victor Oladipo is currently questionable for tomorrow's game, but if he plays, I'm not going to be on him either. This is a terrible matchup, so I don't like Oladipo. Gary Harris against Chicago, I really like that matchup. Harris is pretty cheap as well at only $19. Harris has been crushing value lately, putting over 30 fantasy points in 4 straight games. He's only $19 on Yahoo, which is insanely cheap for the way he's been playing. So if you want to pay down at shooting guard, I really like Harris. He provides great value on this slate. KCP against Portland, I like that matchup. Portland plays at a really fast pace. KCP is the same price as Harris, so I don't think I'm going to be on him. I would much rather have Harris over KCP. But Pope has been very consistent lately, so he is definitely in play. And yeah, that's pretty much it for shooting guard. Let's go ahead and move on to small forward. All right, the top of the small forward list, you got Kevin Durant against Washington. This is a really good matchup for Durant. The Wizards are terrible defensively against a small forward. KD is a little overpriced in my opinion, but this is a really good matchup. So he's in play, but I'm not really a big fan of his price tag. Jimmy Butler against Denver, I really like that matchup for Butler. This is a good up and pace matchup for the Bulls, and the Nuggets don't play really good defense. Butler is also overpriced in my opinion, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be on him, but this is a really good matchup. The Nuggets are terrible defensively. Gordon Hayward against OKC, I don't really like that matchup. Andre Roberson's a really good defender, but Hayward is pretty cheap at only $35. He's been paying off his price tag lately, so I like Hayward just based on his price tag, but I don't like this matchup. But he only has to get you 30 to 35 fantasy points to pay off that price tag, which I think he can do. So for that reason, he's in play. Wilson Chandler against the Bulls. That's a good matchup for Chandler, but I'm not really a big fan of his price tag. I don't think he's necessary on this slate. I think if you want to pay up at small forward, you can look towards Hayward, Butler, and Durant. Don't think I'm going to be on Chandler. If you're looking to attack this price range, I would much rather take Porter over Chandler. They're both the same price. Porter gets a good up and pace matchup, but the matchup isn't that great defensively. Durant's been playing really good defense this year. So for that reason, I don't think I'm going to be on Porter. Danilo Gallinari against the Bulls. I really like that matchup for Gallo. I really like him for cash games because of his price tag. He's way too cheap in my opinion. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that price tag. He only has to get you at least 25 to 30 fantasy points, which he can easily do in this matchup. So for that reason, I really like Gallo. He just seems way too underpriced. Tobias Harris against Portland, I don't think I'm going to go there. If I wanted to attack this price range, I would take the guy under Harris, and that's Marcus Morris. Morris has been very consistent lately, and he is really cheap at only $20. This is a good up and pace matchup against Portland. And like I said, Morris is really cheap at only $20. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that price tag in this up and pace matchup. In Morris's last 5 games, he's put up 21, 37, 24, 28, and 32 fantasy points. And he's played over 31 minutes in 5 straight games. So if you're looking for a cash game small forward on the cheaper end, I really like Morris. He's way underpriced in my opinion. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that cheap price tag, so I like him on the cheaper end. And that's pretty much it for small forward. There really isn't much value at small forward. If you're not paying up, then I think you're going to target Gallinari or Marcus Morris at the mid-range. But yeah, let's just go ahead and move on to power forward. Alright, your top power forward on this slate is Draymond Green against the Wizards. This is a really good matchup for Green. The Wizards aren't good defensively against the power forward. But Draymond's really been struggling lately, so I don't think I'm going to be on him. There's a guy at the mid-range that you're going to want to target at power forward, so I don't think I'm going to be paying up. Markieff against the Wizards. I don't like that matchup defensively. He's going to be guarded by Draymond, which isn't a good matchup. But the Wizards will be playing up in pace. I don't think I'm going to be on Morris, though, because I don't really like his price tag at $29. Even in this up and pace matchup, I don't think he's going to be able to pay off that price tag. So I'm not going to be on Morris. Julius Randle against Charlotte. I like that matchup for Randle. He is underpriced in my opinion at only $24. He shouldn't have a problem hitting value. And Charlotte's not good defensively against the power forward, so if you want to attack the mid-range, I like Randall. Zach Randolph against Phoenix, I really like that matchup as well. Phoenix is terrible defensively and they play at a really fast pace, so you can target Randolph on this slate. He's definitely in play. But the guy I really like is Frank Kaminsky against the Lakers. If Cody Zeller does not play in this game, then Kaminsky should get the start. And he's been absolutely killing it lately with Zeller out of the lineup. He's been playing heavy minutes and he's been producing. He is also way underpriced for this matchup against the Lakers. This is a terrific matchup. I like Frank the Tank at only $22. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that price tag. Like I said, he's way underpriced for this matchup. So I like him at power forward. He's going to be the power forward that I target on this slate. And one guy on the cheap end you can target is Nikola Mirotic. Ever since Doug McDermott and Taj Gibson got traded to the Thunder, Mirotic has had to step up and play heavy minutes. In the 2 games after the trade deadline, Mirotic has put up 31 and 32 fantasy points and played 29 and 36 minutes. At the minimum price, he is a really good value play on the slate. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that cheap price tag. All he has to do is get you 20 fantasy points to pay that off, which he can definitely do in this up and pace matchup against the Nuggets. So I like Mirotic as a value play. He's way underpriced. Yeah, that's pretty much it for power forward. Let's go ahead and move on to center. Alright, your top center on this slate is Nikola Jokic. He gets a really good matchup against the Bulls. The Bulls aren't good defensively against the center. Jokic's price has seen an increase, but he's been really killing it lately. So if you want to pay up at center, I really like Jokic. He is definitely in play against the Bulls. This is a really good matchup. So I like Jokic at the top. Also like Andre Drummond against Portland. Drummond is underpriced in my opinion at only $34. He's really been consistent lately. And this is a good up and pace matchup for Detroit. So if you want to pay up at center, I really like Drummond as well. He shouldn't have a problem paying off that $34 price tag. Also at that same price tag, I really like Marc Gasol against Phoenix. Phoenix is terrible defensively and they play at a really fast pace. So I like Gasol as well at that same price. Rudy Gobert gets OKC. Gobert isn't going to be somebody I target on this slate. If I'm looking to pay up at center, I'm just going to target Drummond or Gasol. But Gobert has been one of the most consistent players this year and he is way underpriced at only $30. He's managed to hit value in 5 straight games. So I like Gobert just based off his price tag, but if I want to pay up at center, I'm going to look towards Gasol or Drummond. Marcin Gortat against the Warriors, don't think I'm going to go there. This is an up and pace matchup for the Wizards, but I don't think I'm going to be on Gortat. He has been struggling lately. Steven Adams against the Jazz, definitely not going to be on that. Rudy Gobert is one of the best defenders in the league, so I don't like Adams. Mason Plumlee against the Bulls, probably not going to be on that either. This is a good matchup, but I don't think Plumlee's really necessary on this slate. The guy I really like on the cheaper end, though, is Jusuf Nurkic. Ever since Nurkic got traded from the Nuggets to the Trailblazers, he's moved into the starting role immediately. In the 3 games that he started, he's played 21, 34, and 21 minutes, and has put up 26, 40, and 16 fantasy points. One thing to note in Sunday's game against Toronto, Nurkic did have to leave that game early because he got some teeth knocked out. He is expected to play today, though. So I really like Nurkic at only $11. This is a really good matchup against Detroit. Andre Drummond's not a good defender. And they're going to need Nurkic to play heavy minutes to bang with Drummond. So I really like Nurkic if you want to pay down at center. He's a really good value play on this slate. And that's pretty much it for center. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my starting 5. Alright guys, so this is my starting 5 for the NBA slate on Tuesday, February 28th. I combined some of my favorite value plays and my favorite stud on this slate. If you want the guard, forward, and utility spot filled in, then you will have to buy the lineups like I mentioned in the beginning of the video. I'm not going to go over this stuff again because I already did at the beginning of the video. But like I said, you can contact me on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, and we can discuss some things if you want to. So be sure to follow me on Twitter, guys. I won't be updating the starting 5 either. Say for example, if John Wall somehow gets hurt and doesn't play against Golden State, then you're on your own to update the lineup. But if you want to get the full updated lineup before lock, then you can contact me on Twitter and we can talk about it. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them down in the comments or message me on Twitter and I'll be sure to answer them. But yeah, I'm still going to be making videos, guys. Every single day we're going to be doing full slate breakdowns. But I'm not going to be giving out full lineups anymore. If you want full lineups, you're going to have to pay. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.
Yeah, I told y'all. I made it mine.